Okay, no goofy openings on this one. Just going to get right to it. There's one thing before we go over to WinUAE. We need to temporarily get rid of the wheel mouse driver. WinUAE is, yeah, it's not happy with it. So let's open storage and we're going to just put it in here temporarily. So now we're going to open Workbench Startup. And let's move these over. So now anytime this is booted for the time being, the wheel mouse will be disabled and WinUAE will not be going nuts. See you on the PC. Okay, fun starts now. Open your WinUAE again. You should have your SD card installed. And if you saved the configurations last time, go ahead and load it. We're going to change it a little bit. Just make sure you have 68030 fast as possible, JIT. Then in RAM, give yourself gobs of RAM. I did 256 megabyte Z3 fast and 256 megabyte chip, 32-bit. Your CDs and hard drives don't need a CD, but hard drive, go ahead and mount your Workbench HDF on the M partition, and for the N partition, which is the one we're using on the Turbo Chameleon, go ahead and mount that. Call it something like ST0 and give it the same path as that N partition on the SD card. Okay, now we're going to want to go over to this WHDLoad.de. It's a support page, and go ahead and download this user small. Unless you need the extra documentation languages, I would say just download the small. And go ahead and save that to your N. We'll use that to work. Now let's go ahead and start. And here you go. Here's your N partition, which is mounted just like another hard drive. And we're in the same desktop as the Turbo Chameleon. The only difference is you notice there's no retargetable graphics, no Picasso 96. It's a different setup, so it just falls back to the standard video out, which is fine. This is all we need. Go ahead and go in your N and update and show all. Okay, double click the WHDLoad, user small. Let's just point it at RAM. It's a temporary work area. Open your RAM disk, show all. WHDLoad and install. Intermediate should be fine. Proceed. Yep, go ahead and put it in C. Yeah, we can keep that default. And it's now complete. What we're going to be doing is borrowing on the works of others. So you're going to want to go to getcoffin.net and download the torrent file for Coffin R61. Setting up and using a torrent program to download torrent files is beyond the scope of this video, but if you need help, ask down in the comment section below. Either myself or someone else can give you some advice. Anyhow, go ahead and download that torrent now or get it started, and we'll move on to the rest. Once you have that Coffin R61 fully downloaded, you need to extract it. Extract here. This will take a little bit. Alright, when it's done, we'll see the full size here, and it is done. Here we go. So let's head over to WinUAE. If you save the configuration, load it, and like before, just check that you at least have an 030 fast as possible, JIT. You're going to want this fast. And down in ROM, you have your ROM. In RAM, give yourself a bunch of RAM. I did 256 and 256. Okay, now we need to go into hard drives. And we have this, make sure you have your workbench from the M partition on the SD card mounted, and you have your N partition also mounted. Then we need to add one more. Add hard file. path and point it at that wherever you have it downloaded and extracted to. Head there and then select that image file. Open. Down here we do not want it bootable, so unclick bootable. And I guess we'll give it some kind of device. Let's give it HD1. There's actually multiple partitions in there, so you'll see a bunch of new hard drives when we boot up. So let's start. Alright, the S is about to get real. The program, system, and my files, that's all part, and even restore, that's all part of that coffin image. So first off, let's go into system and devs. We want these kickstarts. Show you what we have in here. We got a whole bunch of different kickstart images from different Amigas in different eras. So individual games could call upon specific ROMs. So we want to move that over to our devs folder. Let's copy it over. That one's the easy one. The next one is where things get pretty beefy. So open your N. This is something I was playing around with. I'm just going to delete that. Okay, now in the Coffin Programs file, open that and go into Games. We're going to copy this entire WHDLoad folder over to that N partition on the SD card. It's going to take a very long time, and it's even going to break the status bar. So it's not 99% done. It's 91% done. So I'll be back. Don't know what time I'll be back, but I'll be back. Okay, it's only been about 20 minutes, but I wanted to give you a quick update. It's still going. So this could go a long time, but I want to show you where we're at. Just curious and looking. It's only using about, well, it was only using about a quarter to a third CPU utilization. Now I'm recording, it's bumped up a little bit, but anyhow, you can see on the N drive, it's about 60% of speed capacity. The bottleneck would be the emulator, but it's moving along. And so far, size on disk is about 2.44 gigabyte. That's just games, guys, and it's got a ways to go. So yeah, those 4 gigabyte partitions aren't going to do it. 30 gigabytes partition on an SD card, yeah, that'll do it. I'll see you back when this is done. Okay, it's done. Let's see how big it ended up being. Nine gigabyte, wow. Well, here's the thing, 14,281 folders. Each one of those folders is a game. Now, that's a lot. So even with the duplicates, that's a lot of games. And 9 gigabyte, that's, if you know the general standard size of an Amiga game, yeah, that is a lot of data. Anyhow, we can close out of this, and hopefully we can go back over to the 64 and start playing. I've been jokingly calling this the money shot, but really, I guess this video and the next video, part 6, will be the money shot, both of them, because the next part, when we set up a front end, that's going to be some heavy lifting also, and that's going to really add some value here. But let's see what we have. SD0, which is what we've been working on, that second partition on the SD card. We now have WHDLoad. And we're not going to be using iGame. I don't recommend using iGame. Yeah, there's not enough horsepower on the Turbo Chameleon, in my opinion. So go into games, and don't be shocked when you open one of these folders and it takes a very, very long time for everything to populate. So, you know, it could take minutes. That's why we're going to set up a front end, because this is going to take a long time, which I'll edit out here. Okay, here's the M folder, and we'll get that wheel mouse set back up once we're done using WinUAE. I'm just going to open up a game real quick. Go into Menace, one of my old school favorites. And the main game, just double click. That F10 to exit, we don't have an F10, but in another video I'll explain what the keyboard shortcuts are for those. And you can play a game now. I wanted to get this video out. After this series been so long, people probably just itching to play a game. Now you can play a game. And in part 6, we will set up a front end and make it a little prettier. Thank you. If you like this, like, subscribe, and more importantly, go over Chorus for Chameleon on Patreon and show Alistair some love. We wouldn't be doing this without him. All right, thank you. See you on the next.